Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Denver Business Beat podcast. It's October 30th, the day before Halloween. My name is Arica Netterville, and I am your host, and my dearest good Judy and personal friend is Regina Topelson. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Arica. How are you?
I'm amazing. It's a cold day today. Oh my goodness, we had a major cold front come in, and it is just really chilly outside, but it's nice and warm. And
cozy in here.
Cozy in here. It's so beautiful. We're actually setting live in one of your listings.
We are.
That is amazing. What area are we in?
We're in Greenwood Village.
In Greenwood Village. The homes driving up here are exquisite.
Mm-hmm.
They're beautiful properties. This is a beautiful neighborhood. Landscaping, everything is so beautiful in these areas. So thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thave you for having me.
You're very
so
welcome.
Excited.
I know you are a very busy lady and got a lot going on. So thanks for taking time to be on the show tonight. I have a few questions we're going to go over, and we're going to dive right into this interview. You ready?
I am ready. Let's do
Okay,
it.
perfect. How did you get started in the real estate industry?
Well, back in 1994, with my family, my parents and I, we bought a property, and it was a condo, and it was like the first foray into property management, rentals, that sort of thing, and so that's how we got started.
You found your niche.
Well, we sort of did for a little while. We did.
What are some of the current trends in the real estate market today?
The current trends in the real estate market today are really high-priced. Housing overall has grown in price, and now we have actually normal interest rates. Okay, and I do kind of want to unpack that a little bit, because if you have amnesia, or you've only been around for the last 5 years, then your perception is that we've always had rates that were under 3,
right?
And historically that is just not the case.
Right.
So an interest rate of anything between 5.5 and 7.5 is absolutely normal. That's a normal rate. So 6.5, which what we have right now, is it's great. It's a good rate.
Yeah.
It's a normal rate. But what's happened is that when we're talking about in 1980, when the interest rates were 18%. Okay, we don't remember that, but the housing prices were not what they are today.
Right.
And what happens also historically is that the price of housing increases 4% year over year. And it doesn't matter if it's a good market, a bad market, a high market, things are exploding market, or it's a terrible market. It goes up and down, but overall it goes up 4% year over year. So the trend is, the housing prices have increased. But now what we see is, if you were trying to buy a house 3 or 4 years ago and the interest rate was less than 3 or around 3, and now it's double. So yes, it feels like, and it is true, your buying power is half.
Right. In this general area, Centennial, Castle Pines, DTC, how's the inventory right now of homes for sale?
It's low.
Really?
It's low. Yeah, it's, I think a couple of things are affecting it right now, which is our impending,
Political situation,
right? Our election, that's what the word I was trying to find was our impending election. And so, and the interest rates. So of course, if you are a seller and you're thinking, well, I've got to move somewhere, right? And you don't have a mortgage right now, then you're not really going to go anywhere. You're not really motivated to sell when you either have a very low mortgage or an affordable mortgage versus going to something smaller and having double the mortgage, right? So.
Yeah, I think there's been such a boom here in Colorado over the last 5 years too. Wealthier people are moving to our area, families are moving to our area, so they're purchasing those homes, and some of them are their forever homes.
Yes.
So they're staying in them. They're remodeling and making it their home, and this is absolutely exquisite. You gave me a little tour before, and the bathroom was done so beautifully, and I think I'm looking into a skylight. I mean, my gosh, it's just so beautiful.
This is a skylight.
It's so grand in here.
This home itself is a ranch.
Oh, wow. Wow, it is beautiful hardwood floors. The artwork is exquisite. The furniture is beautiful. Can you share a success story from your real estate career for us?
Absolutely. So I had a buyer that wanted to buy in the Boulder School District, but not in Boulder County. And so we ended up finding a new build in Erie.
Oh, okay.
And it was just perfect.
Yeah.
You know, back to open space. It was a new build. But it was one of those things where the current buyers had backed out for whatever reason.
Okay.
And I got a call in the middle of an afternoon saying, okay, we have this one available right now, but you can't change anything. You can't change the countertops, can't change the color of the walls, can't, you know, like nothing. It's as is. And my buyer wanted it. And
Wow.
so just like that.
Congratulations. Now, because I don't know a lot about the real estate market, you're licensed in the state of Colorado, so you can sell anywhere in the state, is that right?
I can sell anywhere in the state of Colorado, but honestly, I'm not an expert anywhere outside of the metro area.
Okay.
I can't really tell you what's happening in Laramie County. I don't really know. I don't live there, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
right.
And so, I mean, if I had a client who came to me and said, you know, I want to buy a house in Fort Collins, I would say, great, let me hook you up with one of my colleagues at Coldwell Banker in Fort Collins that knows that area a little bit better. Because here's the misnomer. People always say, how's the real estate market?
Right.
And I say, where?
Right.
You know,
That
because
makes sense.
what they're really asking is, how's the real estate market in Denver? How's the real estate market in my neighborhood? How's the real estate market in my little enclave? Okay, because, you know, Greenwood Village is, you know, DTC, right? The Denver Tech Center. It's a swath of area, okay?
Yeah.
And so we're, you know, when we're talking about Greenwood Village, there's a lot of homes here that have the address of Greenwood Village.
Right.
And technically this is not. This listing here is actually unincorporated Arapahoe County, and it's Inglewood.
Oh, okay.
So it's not even Greenwood Village, but
Yeah.
even in that swath of area, you know, there's little pockets, little enclaves, little different neighborhoods. And so you're going to have, you know, when people ask me about the real estate market, they don't want to know what's happening in New York. They want to know what's happening right here in their own backyard.
Right. That brings up so many questions. I would imagine the people that are in this general area, and it is an opulent, elegant community, I would imagine some of the CEOs that work in Denver Tech Center probably have homes and things here, if I were to guess.
I would say that's probably a good guess.
Yeah, it's really a beautiful area. How do you stay updated with the latest real estate news and developments?
Several ways. You know, DORA, the Department of Regulatory Agencies of Colorado, and especially their real estate division, keeps us very well updated. Then we also have the Colorado Association of Realtors. We have a couple of even more local ones. We have SMEDRA, which is South Metro for realtors, and then we have DMAR, which is Denver, whatever, for Denver Metro Association of Realtors. And so we have a few of those associations where we can get a lot of our news and updates, and then of course our offices, you know.
Yeah.
So I am part of Coldwell Banker Realty, which has been around for 108 years.
Yeah, it's a trusted brand.
It's a trusted brand. They're a very well trusted company, and the reason why they've been in business for so long and they're not fly by night is because they really do take care of their agents and they keep us well updated on what's going on in the industry.
It's amazing. This is a big question. This was our biggest question. What advice do you have for first-time home buyers?
Get in it. Get into the market. Get into the game. You know, if you sit and watch people play Monopoly and never learn how to play, if you just sit and watch forever and don't actually do it, like, you can't read about riding a bicycle. You can't read about owning a home. You can, but it's like, it's not the same as getting in it. And you know what? Just sitting and reading a book about home ownership is not going to get you any equity, okay? But what happens is, the longer you sit on the sidelines, the more time you waste and the more money you lose, okay?
Right.
And what am I saying? I'm saying that, even if you start in a smaller home, like, so let's say you want to be in Greenwood Village, okay? But you can't afford, a 5,100 square foot ranch. Darn, as a first time home buyer, right? What can you do? Well, there's townhouses, there's condos around here.
Right.
So you can start here in something smaller, okay, that's less expensive. And as you build up equity, then you buy the next thing, and you buy the next one, and you buy the next one.
Each level you're going to level up.
Until you get to where you want to be, and
Yes.
you can stay in the same area if you want to stay here, but you can also, let's say, it takes you somewhere else in life, either it takes you to Castle Pines, or it takes you to Castle Rock, or it takes you to, Franktown, or wherever it is that you decide you want to be. Maybe you don't want to be right here anymore. Or maybe you don't need to, because let's say you start out here because you want to be in the Cherry Creek School District.
Right.
But then your kids graduate and you're like, well, I don't really need to be here
Right.
anymore. I can be wherever I want to be.
Yeah.
And so with that, I would just say, stop wasting time, get in, buy the place, buy your first place, and then if the interest rate is too high, when it goes down, you can always refinance. If it goes up, my goodness, you've just hedged your bets, haven't you?
Yeah.
So, just get in.
I want to back up to schools. I think that's a big decision that someone's making if they have a family and they're purchasing a home to get into the right school area for their children.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a big decision maker when you're dealing with families per se?
In light of our current situation, or what? Well, I mean, there's a lot of good school districts in the Denver metro area. Let's just start with that.
Right.
Even within school districts, each school is different in and of itself, right? So, and they offer different things, right? But even with our current political situation, we just have a ballot right now, number 80, which is all about schools and funding of schools. And so
and that would be charter versus public.
Well, it's that the money would follow the student and not stay necessarily in the home school or in the school districts,
Gotcha.
right? So for example, like you could still live in this beautiful house in Greenwood Village and say, well, I prefer my kids go to private school, right? Not even charter, right? Because charter is still in the district. But you could say, well, I really want, for whatever reason, my child to go to private school. And that could be because the child has a learning disability. It could be because the child has, extracurricular sports, and they don't fit into the 7:30 to 3 o'clock time frame, and so they need a different thing, or maybe they for religious purpose, for whatever reason you want them to go to private
like
school,
Jewish or Catholic school, right?
For sure. And so you say, okay, well, I want to send my kids somewhere else, but in my opinion, I mean, I think that, with 95% of kids going to public schools in Colorado, I think that taking money away from public schools is not right. I mean, if you want them to go to Cherry Creek schools, then live in the Cherry Creek School District. If you want them to go to Littleton Public Schools, then live in the Littleton School District area, but don't take the money away from the public schools, because then once you start doing that, they have less and less resources for the kids who can't go to private schools.
I'm happy that you brought that up because it's very important, and I'm totally in agreement with you on that. What are some of the common misconceptions about the real estate industry?
That it's too expensive to get in. If you think it's expensive, I mean, just think about it. When you're paying interest on a home that you own, you can write off that interest, which in the beginning is a whole lot more than your principal that you're paying off. And is it expensive? Yeah, it is. It's expensive to buy a car. It's expensive to buy a home. But it's when you're paying 6% interest on a home versus 100% interest, right? And then I'm talking about renting, because when you're renting, you don't have principal, you don't have equity, you're not building anything. It's 100% interest going out the door to whoever owns that property that you're renting from. And so you're never actually building anything for yourself.
I'm happy that you got into that topic because I wanted to get into that topic with you. As a homeowner, it's not that you're just paying your mortgage. It's not that you're just paying your taxes. But if there's a roof issue, you've got to pay for that repair. If it's HVAC or a refrigerator or appliances or water heaters, or you want electrical updates or need electrical updates, it's a lot because it is all on the homeowner. So that's another big thing too about home ownership. You really have to take all of those factors in based off what your budget is, what you're able to do, what size of a home you have, what repairs or remodeling you're wanting to do in your home. So those all kind of can make this big pot of decisions, as well as school and everything else, and family and children. So it is a lot when someone's going into that home buying decision, and I'm so happy that they have an amazing real estate agent like you to guide them and help them along that way. How do you market your real estate services?
Well, it's a lot of face-to-face and one-on-one. Real estate is a relationship business.
Absolutely.
I do a fair amount of open houses, but I do a lot with networking groups and just getting out into the community and building that relationship factor.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes being in the right place at the right time is good too. And for our viewers, you and I are both in the B2B DTC exchange group that meets on Fridays, and that's where we met each other. And I heard your elevator pitch, because we all get to talk about our elevator pitch, and I was like, I want to interview her. She's fabulous.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can you recommend any resources for an aspiring real estate professional that wants to get into your market and your field of work?
Well, thankfully, the bar is just so low if you want to get into the business.
Oh, okay.
It's actually starting and building the business that's the harder part.
Right.
So I would say, if there's an aspiring real estate agent out there, then or a realtor, I would say, check with Smedra, check with DMAR, find out about Kaplan real estate classes, and do some reading on, what it takes to be a realtor, because it's doing the classes and passing the test. That's the easy part, I would say.
Right.
I would say the harder part is really getting out there and learning the business and doing the business. And, I think one entryway to, if you don't feel ready to take on, commission type work, 100% commission actually. If you don't feel ready to do that, you could try to find an agent who needs a transaction coordinator. We call them TC in the business, transaction coordinator. And it would be working for an agent who's really busy and has the need for someone to help them with all the, keeping all the documents straight and making sure that, things happen on the timeline that they're supposed to. And lots of agents out there, they do employ transaction coordinators. I don't. I just do it all my own, so that way I can stay on top of what's going on with each of my listings
And things. And that way, if something pops up on you, you're able to deal with it in a quick manner as well.
But I am also part of a team.
Yeah.
I'm part of the Marcus team at Coldwell Banker, and the beauty of being on a team is, you get information, you get support, you get education, and part of that support is that, like, let's say if I go out of town, I've got a whole team of people who are, ready and able to step in and say, do an open house for me, or, take over if, something needs to be done, or, whatever. So, so it's great to be part of a team too.
Yeah. That's amazing. What is the vision for the future of the real estate market in your eyes past November the 5th?
Gosh, well, hopefully people will just, shed their fears a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it always happens during an election year.
Sure.
People get really, really scared about, well,
Yeah.
we don't know what's going to
That
happen.
uncertainty.
Yeah, the level of uncertainty is just more than what people can handle, and they just don't know what to do. And so
Yeah.
people just, you know, clam up and then just sit and hold on to their money in their home, and,
Yeah.
and that's fine, you know. But then, you know, as time goes on, after January 6th, you
That's
know,
what I was
we
going to
find
say,
out,
January. Yeah.
yeah, when we find out, you know, who is going to be, you know, our next president and what their fiscal policy is, people will then generally start to feel more comfortable with, okay, this is what it's going to be for the next 4 years,
Right.
you know, and then they're, you know, a little more keen on doing business.
Right.
But, you know, here's the misnomer too that I just wanted to say from earlier, you know, it's when the interest rates are what they are now,
Mm-hmm.
and the real estate market's always changing, you know. So like last year we went through a horrible market. I knew, you know, I knew people who were in the industry for 40 years, and they were sitting around wondering if they were ever going to do another deal again, right? It was a horrible market. But, you know, this year things have picked up, and, you know, people are doing business again. And so now we're in this weird market where it's kind of like, you know, it's more balanced, actually. It's actually a balanced market, skewed a little bit more towards sellers, but more balanced than it has been in years. Because when the interest rate was so low, and I'm sure that people can remember this, you know, you would go see a house and you would have to, first of all, you would be outbid because you're not the only one bidding, there's 12 other bids. You would have to leave your shoes at the door and have 15 minutes to walk through, do your thing and get out, because the next person was waiting. And on top of it, you know, when you're bidding against 12 other people, your bid might, you know, you might get outbid a lot, you know, and then you have to offer, you know, 50 or 100,000 over asking price. Well, do the math, you know, is it better to buy a $600,000 house at 6%, you know, or is it better to buy a $700,000 house at 3%, right? Because when you're offering, you know, $100,000 over asking, you know, how long is it going to take you to pay back that $100,000 at 3%? You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's 6 of one, half dozen of another. I would just say, you know, when you can buy a house at the price that you want it, buy it. You can always refinance later.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're waiting until those interest rates come down, they may or may not. They may come down a little bit into the 5s, which I think is very realistic, but it's not going to happen very soon. That's the other thing. Is we you know, we might be well into 2025 before that happens.
Yeah.
And even if it does, you know, by the time the interest rates come down a little bit, you're going to have that many more people vying for the same home.
Right.
So,
I want to just say how professional and educated you are. Our viewers are really going to have a big takeaway from this show. So appreciate all of that insight. This is the next 2 questions that every guest gets asked. If you could go back right now to 15-year-old Regina, what would be the thing that you would tell her to prepare yourself for where you're sitting at in that seat right now?
oh my gosh, Arica. Well, first of all, I would say take care of yourself and get yourself situated with your career first, right? And really focus on you. I tell this to my 2 boys and my nieces, and I tell them all the time, take care of you first. That magic, beautiful, one and only spouse will be there.
Right.
You know, you won't be left lonely, you know what I mean? But you know, when you focus on the relationship first, and you're not in a place where you're good yet, you know, I think it's harder. It's harder to start, you know, and I'm sure that some viewers out there are like, no, I found my spouse first and we made, you know, a great life together.
Sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But really, it's much easier if you can just get yourself situated, you know, get a good career for yourself, and then, you know, and then try to find the right spouse. But,
That's,
you know, I
that's
don't know.
perfect, absolute perfect recommendations there. Now we're going to move it up a little further. If you could go to your 60-year-old self and say, this was my legacy, what would that legacy be that you'd want to leave?
This is a hard one. Well,
I know.
gosh, the legacy that I would want to leave, and I think about this one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I would just want to leave, a better life for the people that I love, and including my community, right? So I want to leave my kids something,
Right.
and I want to have something to leave my community, and I want, maybe to be remembered for something, I don't
Sure.
know, but, even,
Your grace and beauty.
oh, thank you.
You're
Well,
lovely.
I guess just everybody that I meet, I hope that, and we did just lose a kind of a new friend recently,
Yes.
the two of us.
It's typical.
And, but it's funny because, certainly we were new friendships for that person, but everybody had the same kind of remembrance
Right.
of that person too, right? We all remembered the wit and how funny this person was,
Yeah.
right?
And then when it's so sudden too, it's just such a shock, and you're like, and then it makes you look at yourself. I just turned 50 last weekend, and I'm 10 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm 10 years from 60. I don't feel it, look it, act it, but that's the reality of the situation.
But whether
And-
it's 60 or 70 or 80 or 100, I think the legacy I would want to leave is that every person I touch, or whose life I touch, I would hope that it's better in some way.
Absolutely, that's beautiful. We're going to go into a few announcements right after this. As she said earlier, home buyership and being a homeowner is a whole list of things that you have to take care of. And sometimes that list can be very long, but I do want you to know if it's plumbing, heating, cooling, electric, we here at Heart Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, Electric are here for you residentially or commercially with your new purchase, your new property. Maybe you're buying a commercial business. We're here for you every step of the way. So the month of November is going to be very exciting here. And we have Leslie Hackworth coming in on the 6th, Corey Aleska on the 13th, Ryan Cotto, he's in our group on the 20th, and finishing out at Serendipity Labs, Tyler Tyson, the manager there at Serendipity Labs. That will be the first time ever that we will be mobile, because we're going to go through the entire Serendipity Labs facility. So that's going to be exciting. Moving on into Chamber Corner for our Colorado Springs Chamber folks, we've got a great event coming up on November the 7th from 11:15 to 1 p.m. And that's going to be at the Harvey House, and that's in the mix. Networking principles. So that's going to be a really great event. I don't know if you go down to that area, but great networking, and that chamber is really on fire down here.
Awesome.
Going into November and December, we've got some great events. The West Chamber of Commerce is doing a huge event, and that's on November the 6th, and it's the Polar Express train ride, and that is through the Railroad Museum just before you get into Golden. Absolutely going to be a fun day, networking, hanging out with friends in the chilly weather, having a cup of cocoa and riding the train. Doesn't get any better than that. I've never rode that train, so I'm super
I haven't either.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Our friends at the South Denver Metro Chamber, 'tis the season of giving. They have a wonderful gala coming up, complimentary hosted, which is exciting. There's going to be cocktails, appetizers, networking. I think they are going to do a little bit of a silent auction. That's November the 20th. Coming up with our Colorado Women's Chamber of Commerce. And I'd like to take you to some of those events as a guest. Those women, the caliber of these women are just incredible. Brews and Breakthroughs behind the sciences of healthcare technology, Thursday, November the 14th from 5 to 7, and that's going to be located at the HCA Health One Rocky Mountains Children's Hospital. That's going to be a beautiful event and a lot of fun. Coming up, with the Denver Metro Chamber. We've got Chamber in the City. That's always a great time, great networking, 4 to 6. And here's a really exciting thing. We're going to be at Coors Field. So make sure that you're registering for all those incredible events on each of those wonderful Chambers event sites. You can go on and see where you're wanting to go and network and hang out and meet great business contacts and folks that need to buy a house as well. Today has been a wonderful show in this beautiful listing. Regina, thanks so much for coming on the show
Thank you,
today.
Arica.
I really appreciate having you on. We want you all to have a wonderful, safe Halloween tomorrow, and we'll see you next week with Leslie Hackworth. Have a great day.